Okay, bass heads. It's your boy once again, the OG Soda Pop Kid, coming to you direct. And I'm going to do another tutorial here, another video. And this is an important video because it has to do with brand bashing and car audio bashing in general. Because a lot of you guys got a lot to learn. Y'all think y'all know more than what you do, and you don't. Okay, so I'm going to hit on this. And before I even hit on any of this, I want to give a shout out and a thanks to my man Ben Hank, who's a mechanic. I think his shop is called Your Neighborhood Mechanic, and he did some welding and some bracing for me on my alternator bracket. The alternator bracket was kind of shaking. There was some stuff shaking on it, and he braced it to stop it. Like I said, I designed this bracket, but I didn't do the welds. I designed it. Okay, I designed that tensioner and everything, and I just had someone else weld it. And there was a couple of imperfections on you know, like stopping it from shaking and that. And my man Ben Hank did that. So he added these bars here, that bar, and this one over here to stop that from doing that. Okay. We just did this today. He added this bar from the bracket here down to the power steering pump to stop that from shifting. Every time I hit the gas, it would go like that. So that stopped that. Okay. And then he welded an extra bar like right here. Okay, right next to the old one, so now I can cut the plexi in half. Instead of it being one whole sheet. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping and everything else. He did that on both sides. And he put some new door pins on my driver's side door to stop it from sagging. Yeah, I wanted to put grade 8 bolts in there. But the actual bushings, they were kind of sloppy in the actual bushings. I mean, the bushings was kind of sloppy on those. They were smaller than the actual door pins, so we had to go back with door pins all over again. So thanks to Ben Hank for getting those jobs done. And I want to use Ben Hank as a mechanic. He's a good mechanic. He knows what he's doing. He got his guy there helping him. You know what I mean? I want to start going there because he seems serious about his job. And he's not one of the mechanics that'll fix your car a couple of times, but then as soon as he get busy with everybody else, blow you off. No, so as long as you stay loyal, buddy, I'll stay spending my money there. All right, and telling people about you as well. But there's going to be a time when you're going to get busy when more people start finding out about you. Don't become two-faced when it happens. All right, now, let me get back to the matter at hand. So yesterday I posted up a score I did at a competition the other day, way out in Shreve, Ohio, which is 3 hours each way. And I drove out there, and this was only my second competition of this season because I had not competed in the last almost 11 months, man. I sold my other stuff in September, and I wish I would have kept my Terra amps. I wish I would have kept them because they did me good. I wanted to start off, there was these amps I wanted to try out because I was seeing them and reading about them and wanted to see if I could get AK out of them with my electrical that I am using. That's what I wanted to see. And you know, car audio is just a hobby. It's just a hobby. It's not my job. It don't pay me. I spend my money on it. My hard-earned money on it. It doesn't pay me anything. And I just got out of debt, a 4-year consolidation because of car audio over the years, spending hard-earned money and massive money on it. You know what I mean? Like massive money on it. All the places I traveled, all the competitions I've entered, missing work when there was like shows on Saturday and 3-day shows. I missed a whole lot of work during the years over car audio. I've been dedicated to car audio, which most guys that's been in it haven't been dedicated to it. They did it a little bit and got out of it. I've been dedicated to it. You know, missing work, like I said, driving to Timbuktu, all about car audio, and competing and going up against some of the best guys out there. I done got head to head with some of the best guys out there. Got my ass kicked at times, but I tell you this, I got quite a few world championships, 20 state championships, and 748 trophies, plaques and medals and certificates to date, which some guys haven't even accomplished that. And all the car audio they've been doing, no matter how loud they've been, or what they've done, or what they used. I've used some real budget equipment and went up against guys with expensive equipment and have beat them in the lanes. So I'm not concerned about, how much wattage someone is doing versus the scores they're putting up. Okay, yesterday I did 61,000 watts on some pretty much unknown amplifiers that I'm pretty much promoting by having in my car. Okay, and I changed my subs, okay, and I did like almost a 61. And someone's concerned about, well, because I have this much wattage, shouldn't I be doing these numbers because I'm doing this wattage? Or if you're doing this much wattage, you should be doing these numbers because you're doing this much wattage. That doesn't make a difference. It don't make a difference, man. There's no such thing as because you're doing 70 or 80 or 50 or 30, 1,000 watts, you should be doing these numbers because you're doing this much wattage. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I understand the question. You know what I mean? I understand the question. It's a concern, and I kind of sort of would have been concerned about that too, but I realized that doesn't matter. I mean, I could see if someone was doing those kind of numbers, watts wise, and only doing like in the 50s. 150s and that. But 160s is 160s, and a lot of cats haven't reached 160s, and there's guys still trying to get to 160s. And there's some that'll never get to 160s. They've been and quit before they got there. It took me 5 years to get into the 50s. I got into the 150s using mofos and SPL amplifiers, and I was using Lanzar amplifiers and 400 watt RMS Lanzar subs, and the mofos was only 700 watts RMS, and I still pulled off a 150.1 that made it up to 151.7. Using mofos, and then 4 mofo 15s, I did 155s with 4 mofo 15s, and they're only 800 watts. So I've been doing a thing with budget equipment and been putting budget equipment on the map, like Shark 2500s. I got my first 160 using Shark 2500s and HDs and 8 HD 12s. I got my first 160, and that was with Autocraft AGM batteries from Advanced Auto Parts people, with V-belts, alternators with V-belts on them, okay? I mean, with minimal electrical. I've used Q-Power, a wire, and did good with Q-Power wire and everything else. I've used budget equipment and did scores of budget equipment. You know what I mean? I did 160s with much lesser power than what I'm using now. I mean, what's the big deal? Like, what's the big deal? And no, it's not my box, okay? Now, one thing I want to make clear. This is a street-beating vehicle. It's always been a street-beating vehicle. This is not a burp box vehicle. This is not a true extreme vehicle. It's not for burping. I only burp to see what I'm going to do. I enter all classes. I enter street beating classes, burp classes, and dueling demos, sound quality. I'm all about my system sounding good and being loud. And I'm not concerned about how many watts I'm doing versus what numbers I'm putting up. I'm not even concerned about that. I'm just concerned about trying to have fun doing a hobby and competing and being competitive with how many trophies and stuff I won. And I do have a following of bass heads that's been following my builds ever since I was in the 140s. And got thrown in extreme all because I had ripped out a headliner. And DB Drive, they threw me in extreme 3-4 when I was only hitting a 142. And put me up against vehicles doing 170s all because the headliner was torn out and it just had a solid metal ceiling. And I got thrown in extreme for that. got to be one of the stupidest rules I ever heard in my life. And some of the rules y'all got are stupid, and y'all need to change them. You don't throw nobody in the extreme because they got a cup holder on the dashboard and stuff like that. And I watched them do that. Okay. And you know what I did? I didn't bitch or moan or nothing. I just rolled with the punches and started building my car around extreme. And I only did that so that it could get louder on the street. My box is tuned to 35 hertz. Period. It's tuned to street beats. I mean, I'm actually tuned to 34 and some change, give or take. So I just say I'm tuned to 35 hertz. My resonant frequency is 43 hertz. The resonant frequency in the vehicle, which is a pretty big chamber. That's like this chamber is bigger than certain trucks. Okay, and because of that, my car does big scores depending on cone area. Cone area is what rules in my car. Cone area, not motor force, cone area. So the 418s I had, and was like 1,000, I forget, 1,000 something square inches of cone area. Okay, so with that being said, I was getting some good scores with 18s from the gate. 418s only and 5 cubic foot. After displacement, they was in like 4.8 cubic foot, and cats were bashing because they're throwing 18s in 6 to 8 cubic foot so they can play lower and all that. It's not all about that. Okay, my car's always been a street beater, period. And I just enter burping out of curiosity. I mean, if I could pop a 160, I'll go into burping just to see if I could do 160s, and I'm still in the 160s. 160.94, that's almost a 61, you know what I mean? And another thing, at least my electrical is strong enough to let those amps do 7,000 and 8,000 watts. At least my electrical is strong. I ain't got no weak ass electrical. I'm running a 190 amp hour C-Max lithium. That's been pretty good to me since 2018 or 2019 or 20 is when I finally got one and got away from the AGMs and the lead acid batteries that I was out there doing scores with on lead acid batteries and AGMs, dude, and cheap ones adapt from Advanced Auto Parts and AutoZone. Do I get any kind of credit? And going up against the guys I was going up against and out here using this budget equipment and putting this equipment on the map? I mean, I figure I could get some free equipment, get some full sponsorship, right? I'm putting money in the pockets of these owners. And some of these owners only care about how much money they making and not the competitor that's buying their stuff and promoting their stuff and getting themselves. I'm going to be up all over y'all about that in a minute. Just give me a minute, okay? So, I'm not concerned about whose car did what numbers with only this much power and this much equipment. I'm not concerned. How come you don't enter competitions and win a bunch of trophies then? Y'all geniuses, y'all superstars, and go compete and win trophies. I'm not trying to hear what you did 5 years ago. You haven't been in car audio since. I'm not concerned. I mean, I'm 60 years old, still up in this, still doing this, and still out here trying to enjoy the hobby and running into people I know and trying to shake hands and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I wasn't even supposed to be competing this year. I only been in 2 contests. I just want to win my states because I live in the state. That's it. You know what I mean? I'm not really concerned, man. I was about to back out of this and just demo. That's what I was getting into, so it don't matter. You know, it's about putting people up in the car and demoing. And the sound pressure that's coming out. No, I don't do hair tricks. I'm not concerned about that either. Yes, I have sat in people's cars that do hair tricks. I don't hate hair tricks. I just don't bill for hair tricks. I bill for it to be simply loud. Period. That's it. And a lot of y'all that know me, you know, yesterday when I post that up, and I'm not really taking that question. What I'm concerned is, it seems like every time I post something up, this person keeps coming at me about what he feels that I should be doing, like he's either my father or my teacher, or he got me into car audio or something when I was doing this before he was even born. Before I was even competing, I was driving up and down the street in the streets of Homewood, down in Pittsburgh, street beating, and trying to be the loudest dude in the neighborhood, which wouldn't have amounted to anything. Anyway, I wouldn't have got no trophies for that. Just a pat on the back. That's it. So, you know, I'm not concerned about all that. So please quit coming up on my posts asking me dumb questions. People have been asking me these questions for years. Shouldn't you be louder if you're getting 13,000 watts or 20,000 watts or 30,000 watts? Shouldn't you be louder? What difference does it make? I'm loud. Louder, what difference does it make? Technically. Especially if I'm going in the lanes and winning. What difference does it make? How loud I should be because I have this many watts in the car. Why don't some of you guys school some of these dudes, man? They go up on these forums and they listen to this nonsense. And you know what I mean? They go throwing it at everybody. Why don't y'all go in and do the scores? You go buy the equipment and go do the scores. You do it. Let me see you take 61,000 watts and do a 170. Those are for burpers. This is not a burp car. 61,000 watts in a burp car. And most of the guys that are doing 160s out of the trunk with just 212s, them guys never get into the street beating competitions, dude. That kind of puzzles me. They never get into the street beating competitions at all. I've seen a lot of them burp at 160 or more out the trunk. That's amazing. When it comes time to park and pound and all that, no, man, they don't get in that. I wonder why. Because they tune too high? Because their stuff really don't sound. The only person I've seen get down out of his trunk was James Barden. I'm going to tag you in this, James. James Barden, he did a 155.7. I went against him some years ago out there in Ohio, and he was running tear-amps at the time. Not the MD or the base, he's using the other ones, and he had 215s, and that dude did 55s out of the trunk. And he had a nice-ass parking pound. And I went up against this guy. And I ended up beating him. I almost lost. Because at the time, I didn't know nothing about rolling down windows. I was always doing stuff sealed outlaw. I didn't know about the tricks of the trade. And then I found out, and I ended up doing 157 that day. And he was about to beat me, and I came out of the woodwork. I went from doing 153 to 157 just by opening up a window. Unbelievable. And back when I was running mofos and all that, I was running sealed outlaw. Sealed outlaw. I did 154.8 dB on a glass with mofos, sealed with all the windows rolled up and all. When I went down in the kick, I did a 55.4 in the kick. With the car shut off, not running. With 16,000 watts in the car, still pulled the number off and the wattage with the car not running. I accomplished a lot of stuff, dude. I don't need to be hearing, no, shouldn't you be doing these numbers because you're doing this many watts? I was getting 8,042 watts per amp out of the MD8Ks. I was getting more out of the MD8Ks than I was the base 15Ks or the MD12Ks. I was getting more power out of those MD8Ks, man. 8,000 every burp. Burping them on HDs. Putting 8,000 watts into a sub that only does 4,000 watts max, man. And 2,000 watts RMS, and they were taking it for the most part. And then I just started doing 6,378 watts through them on purpose and not doing that many watts. And they was taking it every single burp. Okay, so I'm not trying to hear all of that. And I was doing 162s last season, the season before. I didn't even really compete last season. I waited to the end. I was doing 62s. Why I'm not doing those kind of numbers now with these bigger subs? Well, Bob did tell me that these X-Max monsters are not SPL subs. They're street beating subs. He told me that 2 years ago. And this was before he got the Godzillas and the Kings and all of that, man. I know that these are more powerful than the HDs. These are supposed to be 3,000 to 3,500 watts RMS, 6,000 to 7,000 watts max. Look at that. It's kind of controversial. They're supposed to be stronger, so I expected them to move more and all this, that, and the other. But I never got to test this system. I threw it all in on Monday. Everything was rushed. I threw it in Gangmaster amps and just showed up. Wasn't supposed to compete. Ended up competing anyway. I was just supposed to street beat and break them in. But I got anxious. I was not supposed to compete. I did not go out and test like I usually do, or none of that. If I'd have went out and tested, I would have known what to do technically. Okay, this is something I did not mention. Okay, bashers. Yesterday, when I did that burp, I did not mention that 2 of these amps went to protect. So 2 of them is gone. 2 of these amps are gone. They went into protect. I might have did a bigger score than that if the amps didn't go into protect. They went into protect, and that's when I came up with that number, and I probably would have did better. Okay, these amplifiers, I just was reading them with my Fluke. I had to go out and get a new battery. My battery was old, and I was reading, earlier I was up here, and I was reading like 0.9 ohms on each amp. Now, there's 2 amps is not reading the same. So I was like, man, maybe this Fluke. Now, Flukes are accurate. Y'all know these are some accurate multimeters. I went out and got a new battery, and now it's reading what it should. 6 of these amps is reading 0.7. They're not reading half ohm. They're reading 0.7. Okay, and one of them is reading 0.9, and one of them is reading like 1.3 of an ohm, which means those subwoofers are probably not true D1s, man. Now I gotta call Bob up. I got 2 subs that are not true D1s. So I'm gonna assume that they were refurbished and sold as new. And a couple of the surrounds were coming up. I took the beauty rings off of them due to my holes being cut a little too close. I took the beauty rings off and noticed that there was a few subs that's glued on, like real amateurly glued on. One of them wasn't glued on at all. It only had glue in certain areas, and the whole surround was coming off, and I went home and glued it on myself. I went home and did it myself, man, instead of calling, and you know what I mean? But that's some real grimy work that whoever did these subs did it on. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Amp number 4, okay, goes into protect. I'm going to show y'all. And amp number 7 goes into protect. But the speakers are reading 0.7. They're reading good. So that's the amp. So they went to protect, and I didn't mention it at first. I didn't say nothing. Okay, but I'm saying something now. Alright, I just didn't want to, put nobody on blast. The reason why I got these amps is because I was curious about them, and I like the fact that they got Tiffany style RCAs in them. I see that they're made different, but they're sound digital. They're sound digital clones. The inside of them is from Sound Digital. Okay, and so I was curious. I seen 2 guys clamp these. The owner of Slapz and that Wilson guy. No, not him. The fire kicker guy clamped these. All right, the fire kicker guy only got like over 6K, like 666 or something watts max, but the owner Alan did get 8,000 when he clamped them. Okay, so I was curious about them. They're a little bit smaller footprint than Terra amps. I really like my Terra amps. I should have kept them. I may go back to them. You know what I mean? But I was curious about these, and yesterday I did get 7,672 watts when I clamped. I clamped that one there, and that's the one that went to protect, one of the ones I clamped. You know what I mean? And I assumed that they all were doing the same thing since I had them gang mashed all the same. But maybe they wasn't all doing slightly a little bit different. And that's when I came up with that 61K. Okay? That was that. And they went in, and a couple went in to protect. And that could stop me from doing my parking pound. I wouldn't even do my parking pound after that. I just ran 2 classes. So technically, I probably would have got a bigger score than that 60.94. Don't you think? And like I said, burp cars, they put them in small boxes so they can, so the subs can do the actual wattage. The smaller the box, the more power the sub is going to put out. The bigger the box, the less power. This car has always been a street beater, but I always go in the lanes anyway. So it's not really important to me, man. It's the fact that I go in the lanes and I'm competitive. Why don't you look at stuff like that, y'all geniuses? Since y'all so genius, and y'all take y'all ass and get in the lanes and win some trophies. Since you're doing a 150 with one speaker and so many watts, how come you ain't winning nothing? And I'm not trying to hear that. I just ride up and down the street. I've been doing that since 1990. Y'all wasn't born, okay? Good for you. I'm happy at your accomplishments. Now, go win something. I done been back and forth to Tennessee how many times? Been back and forth to Ohio how many times? Been back and forth to Kentucky how many times? Been back and forth to Indianapolis, Indiana how many times? Never came home empty-handed. The only place I ever came home empty-handed was Slamology in 2015, 17, or, you know, in 2019 I didn't come home empty-handed. That was the only place I ever came home empty-handed was Slam. But it was nice being competitive and being in the lanes with those guys regardless. You feel me? Okay. So, you guys can come up on here and comment when I post this, because like I said, a lot of you guys understand this game and understand it's not all that easy, because you gotta. I had a friend in Tennessee, Devin Crawford. He ran 24-12s and 6 or 12? Base 30Ks. He was doing how many watts? He was doing 69s, man. Nobody ran up on there and blowing windshields off, breaking stuff and everything. Nobody ran up on there and said, hey man, shouldn't you be doing bigger numbers? Because they're never going to get nowhere near him. Shouldn't you be doing bigger numbers if you're running 630Ks or 1230Ks? Unbelievable. And I went up against guys doing 4th and 6th orders with my flat wall and had beat them. And they were using Sundown, 4 Sundown 18s to my American base 4 American base 15s. Sundown amps to my Sharks. Sundown amps to my audio pipe minis. Sundown amps to my little mini American base hybrids. Sundown amps, you know, and subs to my 15-inch, you know, something else's, and gotten beat. Some of us was neck and neck all season. There you go. I know, man. There's some guys that got some real loud walls out there. There's some guys out there that accomplished things against guys with real loud walls and 4th and 6th orders and still won as well. You can add me into that equation. All right? Instead of being bashers. And from now on, guys that bash, I'm just going to block you. I'm going to block you, man. You don't even need to be looking at my posts or nothing else. You don't need to be watching my posts and all the accomplishments I made with this car that I've had since 1998, driving all over the damn world. And when you get it in the turn the key, it starts right up still. I never had it towed to a contest. And the only time I ever had it towed was in 2019 when I was having these mechanics attempt to try to build me an alternator bracket 1 week before states. I shouldn't have never did that, because that caused me to not fully go in and win all my states. That's what it caused. But then I met this tow truck driver that has a basing tow truck, Artius Reynolds. He talked me into letting him go up to the mechanic shop, get my car, tow it out, tow it down to the contest. I towed it into the lanes, and it wasn't running. It had no alternator power at all. It didn't even run. And I still popped a 160 with the car shut off with 418s in it. And had the Autocraft batteries, and it still did over 160 with the car shut off. Boom. How about that? Oh, my goodness, dude. You know what, man? I'm going to be real honest, dude. I like to get real graphic on here, but I'm not going to get so graphic that Facebook kicks me off, because I'm a graphic dude. I think some of you dudes really like me, man. And you're not getting the attention you want, bro. And you feeling some type of way, your butt hurt. I think some of you guys want to bend me over the sink, bro. I'm serious. And you're not getting the attention that you want, and your butt hurt, and you're trying to get attention from me, man. Get your monkey ass in the lanes and start winning, and do what I'm doing and do better than I'm doing, is what I'm saying. Then you have something to talk about, but it still wouldn't make it a bit of difference anyway. Who cares? They're not paying me, they're not paying you. Who cares, man? This is just a hobby. That's all it is. Who cares? Huh? Alright. Last but not least, you amp and sub companies, man. I'm here to tell y'all, some of y'all so greedy, all y'all about is money. I hope y'all choke on that money, man. You got guys like me, I have a following of bass heads that follows me and asks me for advice. Okay, no matter how much bashing somebody does. Okay? And, you know, by me using equipment, especially equipment that's barely known and stuff like that, people will fall back and see what I do. See what kind of numbers I do with the equipment. Alright. They'll fall back, and if I do good with the equipment, they'll go buy the equipment. They did it with Shark. They did it with Audio Pipe. They did it with the VFL Mini Hybrids. You know what I mean? When I ran 1100.1s and all of that, they went and brought it because they saw me running it and made the owners money. What's up with some sponsorship, man? Huh? Some of y'all don't even know your own equipment. Y'all don't know what your equipment is capable of, and y'all look forward to us bass heads telling you how much watts it does and all of that, and spend our hard-earned money on it. You know what I mean? That's real greedy and real selfish of you to not sponsor a certain cast that's out there on the highways and byways, representing your equipment in the lanes, man. But it is what it is, and so States is coming up September 15th. Now at this point, I don't know if I have a backup amp. I bought 9 of these technically. I spun a good bit over $3,000 doing it. Okay, my hard-earned hair cutting money. Okay, so with that being said, I don't know if I'm just going to go buy another amp and hook it up and go in the States and use these from one last time, because I only used them twice. As street beating subs, these things get down, street beating. They get down. And that's what I wanted to stay doing. All right, and I may not have hurt one if I wouldn't have competed. So, with that being said, like I always do, like I'll get equipment, try it out, and then end up selling it. I'm going to sell these, you know, I paid $390 for them shipped. But I'll get rid of them for like $300, $325 if I got to ship. You know what I mean? $300 if you pick them up. I'll just get rid of them before States. If I don't get rid of them before States, you know what I mean? I'm looking at either, there's 2 specific amplifiers I want to use. Go back to the Terrans because they did me good. This wouldn't have never happened with them. You know what I mean? But like I said, I like these. They're solid the way that they are. And I like the fact they got strong Tiffany style RCAs. I like the fact they got 4 speaker inputs on them and stuff like that. They got the double powers and grounds, you know. I kind of wonder why they did that, man. I mean, my MDAKs only had single powers and grounds, and I still got 8,042 watts per amp out of them. I mean, I don't know. That just, you know, seems to me like more wiring you got to do, but the new Terrams, you got 2 of each. Okay. So, yeah. I'm figuring out what I want to do for States. You know what I mean? Because technically, you know, next season I thought about going hard, but I don't know, and I'm going to end up getting rid of the subs too. I only had them 2 weeks. I end up getting rid of them as well. You know what I mean? And I'm going to, you know, what am I going to sell them for? I don't know yet, because I really want the Godzillas. That's what I went to go buy, was the Godzillas. And he didn't have the D1s, and then I wanted the signatures, and he didn't have the D1. Those are SPL subs. These are not SPL subs. And ain't nothing the matter with my box, genius. Like, I noticed you've been building some real pretty looking boxes. I even seen Ben Hank's box in his truck. You know, and those 2 CT sounds do sound pretty good. They sound pretty good and all of that, man. But, you know, I want you and your pretty boxes to get in the lanes and win. And I want to see you get 160, how long it takes you to get 160. I want to see how long it takes you to get to a 52, a 54, a 56. I want to see how long it takes, because it's just not that easy. It's not that easy, dude. Unbelievable. It's not that easy, man. I know guys that's been struggling trying to get, especially up at the 180s. Struggling. Testing and testing and testing and testing and burping and burping and burping and burping and testing and testing and testing and burping. You know what I mean? So, that's the lesson for today, man. Some of y'all need to be taught. You need to be taught some things, dude. Here I am, 60 years old. They do the same thing in pop locking. It's a dance, it's a dance. And some guys out there think that the way that they dance is the only way to dance. They're doing everything like they're the god of pop locking. What they're doing is perfect, and you need to slow down, you're waving too fast. I mean, who said, since when has waving got to be a certain speed? Or I wave to the beat of the music, but I don't know if waving should be done to the music or not. But wave like I do, man. Who the fuck are you? Dance like I do. Who the hell are you? The god of dancing? You guys be killing me, dude. Quit telling me how to do what I do. People have been doing this my whole life, telling me what to do and how to do it. Mind your business, man. You go do what you do. Go get your flowers, man. Go get a tongue in your butt or something. Go sniff something. Find something to do. Go give some skull or something, dude. Seriously, man, I'm not trying to hear all of that, man. I'm going to start hitting that block button and get rid of you. And you go accomplish what I'm accomplishing. All right? So that was that. I'm about to be out of here. OG Soda Pop Kid coming to you direct. Like I said, put your comments up, man. Put up your comments. Do that, man, and stay off of my posts with the negativity. I don't want to hear none of that. All right? I'm a grown-ass man. Peace.